Good morning, guys. This is Jan from Roller Radio, and we are here today with Jens Nicolas Graf, who is the guitarist from the great band Iotunn. So, Jens Nicolas, how are you? Thank you for being with us at Roller Radio.
Thank you so much. I'm fine, thank you. Having a really good day here in Denmark, in the beautiful city of Copenhagen.
Ah,
Everything is
cool.
fine.
First of all, let's talk about Iotunn and your music. How did Iotunn come together? What inspired you to create this kind of music?
It started way back in 2009 when my brother Jesper,
Yeah.
uh, he wanted to create a band that were inspired of at least played some um, crazy 70s and 60s psychedelic and progressive rock music.
Nice.
Yes, and so that was the starting point before the actual starting point. And our former singer Benjamin and our current drummer Björn joined him back then.
Yeah.
Then in 2011, they needed a bass player for a live show in a city in Denmark called Aarhus. And and Jesper asked me if I wanted to be a part of that show, and I was like, yeah, why not? And we had so much fun that I wanted to stay, and they invited me. So then we were a four-piece, and slowly, because both, especially me and Jesper, but also Björn, we always loved heavy music. So slowly that became a bigger part of our songwriting process
Okay.
because I was like, hey, why shouldn't we just open all gates and just create whatever we want and see where it goes? And
Okay.
without going for something specific, just write and write and write and see where it takes us. And then at some point we switch it, and I started playing guitar because I'm not a bass player. I'm a guitarist first and foremost. And then in 2013 and 14, we started to come up with ideas and ideas for songs that sounded like Iotunn, I would say. And some of those ideas became a great part of the Wizard Falls EP that we released in 2016.
Yeah.
And even a few ideas back from 14, 15, 16, some those years went to became a big part of Access All Worlds, and also some of the stuff is even to be found on Kinship. And so that was the initial idea, was to kind of just write and open up and be open-minded and just be inspired by everything that we like. And for some reason, the combination of atmospheric music and progressive music, and also what you would call, I would call a meeting between more classic heavy metal and also the so-called extreme metal.
Yeah.
Just those ideas just emerged, and we felt like that finally we were on track for something that we could identify with, uh, to a point where we kind of would allow ourselves to finalize it and release it, and to stand behind it. So that's, and of course, I before I said the starting point, before the real starting point I think was in 14 and 15, 13, 14, 15, when we kind of started to get really heavy, and then in February 2015 we decided to call ourselves Iotunn. So that's a easy spot for us to point out. Like,
Okay.
if you want, if you
I
need.
mean, I know Jotun means giant, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, that's why you call yourselves Iotunn, because your music feels like kind of this. Okay.
Yeah, that's one reason. Of course, we at that point and maybe forever we know that you can find more epic music, and it's not a so the matter of calling ourselves giant is not first and foremost about our sound being gigantic.
Mm-hmm.
It's more rooted in the in the cultural um, context, or the meaning in the myths of the Nordic myths,
Mythology.
yeah, mythology, where you got where the giants represents this counterpoint to culture, which is chaos, and that suited us pretty well, I think, because our creative process and when we create music is pretty chaotic, because it's not really limited to any manifest or clear goal or a particular direction. It we can go pretty much anywhere, so it's more like that, I think. And then of course, us being us being born and in Scandinavia and to live in Scandinavia,
Yeah.
it connects with our roots.
Oh yeah. For I was asking you. I was wondering to ask you about your creative process, but you told me about it. So let's skip that. Let's talk about this masterpiece, Access All Words. This is a great departure, a great shift from your previous work. How did you how did you came up with this change of music and thematic elements
Compared to kinship,
compared to your previous work, your EP?
actually a lot of the musical ideas, the riffs and the ideas for arrangements for Access All Worlds came up at the same time as we wrote a lot of the stuff for the Wizard Falls EP.
Okay.
So it just wasn't finalized. But I think I think on the Wizard Falls you have it's more, the ideas are more they are not that coherent. It's very much here and there, all the expressions, and
Okay.
to the east and to the west, and I think for the Access All World songs, we kind of we we at the end, well, I guess I figured this, but at the end we came up with something that is more simple, but at the same time more complex.
Okay.
If you take the the longer songs, but also the shorter songs on Access All Worlds, they are pretty much in its fundament built upon very simple chord structures or riffs that we keep on playing over and over. But on top of that, the guitar lead melodies and the vocals and the drums and bass and so on are very complex and dynamic. So for instance, with a song like Access All Worlds or Safe Across Gentlest Night, if you if you take away all the crazy stuff that makes the songs just fly around from destination to destination, you have a pretty simplistic core at the center of it that it all builds on. So I think that was a big change for us, not to just put riffs together as a puzzle, but instead have like big red lines or big perspectives in the writing, that so that we can expand minutes of music
Okay.
with the same core, but it sounds like, or you get the impression that it's all over the place, because then we twist and turn it around with the arrangement, if that makes
Okay,
sense. Yeah.
okay, that's cool. It's a very cool album.